The time by Sagicor is
7 o'clock.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, PNP lament alleged billboard removal. 2 arrested in Jamaican $100 million online banking fraud. Relief for Port Antonio residents. Ground broken for a new bypass. And in sports, Reggae Girls prepare to face England on Sunday. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Saturday, June 28, 2025. I'm Ronaldo Adams, and thank you so much for joining us. The People's National Party is once again making claims that the Jamaica Labour Party is deliberately removing its billboards. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell is of the view that the JLP is showing signs of desperation in this continued act of alleged sabotage. More in this report.
The Labour Party has been removing billboards from several constituencies, and they've now started in Westmoreland and more so in eastern Westmoreland.
And the accusations keep coming. The People's National Party is not pleased about seeing once erected billboards now on the roadways and discarded in bushy areas. Claims of blatant disrespect by the General Secretary, who insist the hands of their members are clean.
The funny thing is that we don't trouble their boards when they put them up. But now that they are going around and putting up theirs, they are taking down the ones that we have up in order to put up theirs. And, it's just the mischievous nature, it seems to be, of the Labourites.
For Dr. Campbell, the JLP should have learned from recent court ruling in favour of 3 PNP standard bearers, declaring the removal of campaign billboards as unlawful. Their billboards were ordered taken down on April 5 by the JLP-led St. James Municipal Corporation. Interestingly, days later, the Finance Committee of the municipality authorised removal across the parish of all PNP material. The affected PNP representatives had argued their constitutional rights were violated and they were being victimized and subjected to political suppression.
I want to make a public appeal to them to desist from doing so. It's not that boards win election anyhow, but I think that we have matured as a country to a point where we should allow people to campaign and allow the residents to make an informed decision about who they want to represent them. I really want to make an appeal to the General Secretary of the Labour Party, Dr. Harrison, to speak to his members, to stop doing so, and just allow for us to have a free and fair election and an election that is free of fear.
Campaign activities not officially underway by either party. However, Dr. Campbell is appealing to the governing party to ensure their members act responsibly in the lead-up to the announced election date and thereafter. Dr. Campbell pointed to the JLP having the majority in the House of Representatives, adding he is confused as to the need for the removal of PNP materials.
I think it is well established in our culture that during election time, both political parties are going to use paraphernalia, part of which are billboards and poster boards. And we have not troubled any billboard, poster boards, or any other paraphernalia of the Labour Party, because we believe that we're in a democratic process and that both sides should campaign and let ideas contend and people decide which ideas are best. But for some strange reason, the Labourites seem to believe that they alone should be able to campaign. And that doesn't make any sense to us. It's a government that has done 2 consecutive terms in office. have 49 MPs. So most of their people should be known, and they're the ones who are putting up boards and taking out the boards of their opponents. That doesn't make sense.
When contacted, the JLP's General Secretary, Dr. Horace Chang, said candidates have been given instructions to avoid any such activity. He admitted the party has enthusiastic supporters that may be guilty of such breaches and assured investigations will be conducted in relation to the claims. For CVM News, I'm Damon Phillips.
And in a sharp response, Abka Fitz-Henley dismissed the claim by the PNP that supporters of the opposition are not guilty of removing any billboards or material advertising JLP politicians. Fitz-Henley rubbished claims made by Dr. Campbell that the JLP could be seeking to break the law and is adamant its members are being directed to act as responsible as is possible.
In support of what our General Secretary said, the Jamaica Labour Party's policy is clear. Our candidates are aware that we don't support or encourage the improper interference with billboards or paraphernalia of any individual entity or organization outside of what the law stipulates in terms of lawful interventions, which designated authorities or agencies may make when signs are improperly placed. Our candidates are aware of our position. In the lead up to any election in Jamaica, there are usually complaints emanating from the two major sides of the political fence about interference with billboards. This time is no different. We have concerns coming from our side about the interference with our billboards, our paraphernalia, and hopefully those concerns are treated seriously as well by the opposition.
The People's National Party accused the JLP-led administration of using dictatorship-type behavior, a theme they maintain is being seen more and more over. Dr. Campbell said the democracy the country enjoys must be respected. However, the JLP took great offense and defended the party for its achievements, adding that this is a desperate attempt by the PNP to undermine those gains and distract the people of Jamaica.
This notion that we're going to take down people billboards, or that Desmond saying they're not surrendering the country, or Andrew only saying they don't need an opposition, those are all signs of dictatorship here that are set to believe that nobody else should be in the space other than them, and they should be answerable to anyone.
In terms of Dayton's mention of the word dictatorship, I don't mean to be offensive, but it's almost pathetic because it shows up very clearly that in light of a record decline in poverty and unemployment, and a massive decline in the murder rate, the lowest we have seen in many decades, and an administration which is working hard to improve the quality of life of every single Jamaican. The PNP recognizes that they have no message. Their plans are not viable, and therefore they have resorted to this tactic of seeking to insert false narratives into the public domain in a bid to pull the wool over the eyes of the Jamaican people. But we are confident that the people of Jamaica will not be fooled.
A group believed to be responsible for a series of online frauds that defrauded a commercial bank of nearly 100 million Jamaican dollars were arrested and charged following a series of coordinated operations in Manchester and Clarendon, involving the JCF's Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, partnered with the Financial Investigations Division, FID. A male 27-year-old customer service representative out of Manchester and a 26-year-old male of a Clarendon address have both been charged with breaches of the proceeds of the Crime Act and are to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on July 14, 2025. In a separate instance of fraud, members of CTOC's Constabulary Financial Unit, CFU, intercepted a man attempting to withdraw funds at a commercial bank that were the proceeds of a phishing attack and a social engineering scheme that had granted unauthorized access to an elderly person's bank account, fleecing them of over 2.2 million Jamaican dollars. The accused is a 28-year-old male a 28-year-old male AC technician of a Kingston address. He was arrested and charged with various offenses under the Cyber Crimes Act, Proceeds of Crime Act, and at common law. and is scheduled to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Thursday, August 21. Acting Senior Superintendent of Police Victor Barrett, in charge of CTOC, highlighted the serious threat banking fraud poses to society, while adding that CTOC and its strategic partners are fully aware of the evolving methods employed by fraudsters. Relief is on the way for motorists and residents in Port Antonio, as the government has broken ground for a new bypass, part of the continuation of the South Coast Highway project. More in this report from our reporter, Akeem Oret.
The town of Port Antonio, long plagued by traffic congestion, is now in line for much-needed transformation, a parish rich in tourism diversity, but poor in maintaining infrastructure. Traffic congestion has tormented residents over the years, but according to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness,
the Port Antonio bypass will solve this. The new 18-kilometer corridor, divided into 2 phases, will divert through traffic from the fragile, congested coastal town center, cutting travel time, reducing transport costs, and unlocking vast development potential inland. In so doing, it will unlock new commercial zones, stimulate land development, and create room for expansion.
Member of Parliament for Eastern Portland and Marie Vaz outlined the scope of the project and the timeline of its completion.
The bypass will take place in 2 stages. Phase 1, Norwich to Turtle Crawl, and Phase 2, Turtle Crawl to Boston Bay.
The bypass is expected to reroute traffic from the narrow and often gridlock roadways that run directly through Port Antonio's commercial hub. The Prime Minister revealed the project costs millions, but is worth the investment.
The government of Jamaica has committed approximately US $81 million for the construction of this project, and another $521 million for land acquisition, with over 200 parcels to be acquired in Phase 1 alone. The National Land Agency has already begun the acquisition process, ensuring that every affected landowner is treated with fairness and dignity under the provisions of the Land Acquisition Act.
With construction now underway, all eyes are on Port Antonio as the government pushes forward on one of the largest infrastructure undertakings in the cradle of Jamaican tourism. Akeem Oret, CVM News.
The Kingston Stock Exchange and the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation have signed a memorandum of understanding to improve street parking in downtown Kingston. Zog Grant has the details.
At the signing of the memorandum on Monday, Mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew, Andrew Swaby, said the agreement has long been anticipated, describing it as a clear sign that efforts are underway to improve a long-standing challenge associated with the space, not only relating to parking, but the revitalization of downtown Kingston as a convenient and attractive destination for commerce.
Today's sign of the memorandum of understanding is a long time in coming because it reflects our shared commitment to improving Kingston, especially downtown. And it's about 2 key institutions working together, tackling the real challenges through partnership and creating safer and cleaner spaces and supporting downtown revitalization.
Swaby added that the agreement benefits both the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the KSAMC.
For the Jamaica Stock Exchange, it helps them, the long-standing issue concern they have about parking on Gold Street and upgrading the security of the area. For us, it's about curbing illegal dumping, repurposing neglected areas, and turning these spaces that reflect the pride and order and care.
CEO of Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, Robert Hill, said the project was initially paused, but a recent meeting led to a workable plan for both parties.
The Stock Exchange would have approached us some years ago with this idea because there was actually pressure in relation to parking for clients, and also when there are major events being hosted, that there was an issue in terms of traffic management and security, logistics and those things. We were approached and we looked at it. We had one iteration which did not meet the standard that we were expecting. And so we parked it for a little bit, no pun intended. And then we reviewed it again with another presentation led by Dr. Street Forest and Mr. Gooden, along with his worship with me and our technical team and counselors. And we worked out what we believe was a very workable, doable, mutually beneficial partnership.
Grant, CVM News.
The chilling details related by an 18-year-old who wanted to but couldn't help his 17-year-old, quote, bestie, unquote, who was fighting for his life at sea. His father is now mourning the loss of his only son and his mother, her firstborn. A period of grief for an entire family.
This is where John met his demise. This is where he disappeared. This is where he was swimming.
When such an alarm turns out to be a black plastic bag, numbness replaces the emotional roller coaster. It's almost a week now. The family has accepted they have lost 17-year-old Dejon Emilio Graham to the angry waves of Frenchman's Beach in the Treasure Beach area of St. Elizabeth. 7 people, including adults, 2 minors, Dejon and his 18-year-old best friend, journeyed from Weber's Manchester to swim about an hour's drive away to the neighbouring parish. The news was a double blow, especially to his aunt, with whom he lived. She says she told him no when asked. The sign at the location, we were told, also said no swimming or diving allowed.
Why would the John go in such a water like this? The sea was very rough.
So rough, after a rescue team notified the family they had the body, then saying strong current interfered. And that's the horrific story also related by the best friend, who explained only the 2 of them went for a swim. They were hit by a big wave and decided to get out of the water. It was while doing so that they encountered another big wave. Now, when he surfaced, he thought his brethren had made it to the shore before he heard his voice behind him saying he was trying to move but couldn't because of the strong current. Dejon reportedly told him not to attempt to come to him but to get help instead. Now, during a conversation said to have lasted approximately half an hour between them, with Dejon, who was better at diving than swimming using that option, it's reported he eventually told his friend he was tired. Then he was going. As for the others on the shore, it's alleged they sought help from the community people, but knowing the danger of that area, they reportedly said they were unable to assist. The truth, the cold truth, is haunting.
Especially to know that they've come back without him and without not finding the body. So that loneliness of linger is there.
Sources claim over the years many persons have lost their lives at that very spot, including fishermen, and unfortunately not all the bodies were found. The family says plans were in advance for Dejon to travel in a week's time.
Finding a different environment that he can do what he loves best: electrical engineer, technician.
We'll have more news in just a moment.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
For years, he has been a staple in the dancehall scene, giving us hits after hits after hits. And I know, ladies, you know. we get into the mind, the meditation, and the humor of Dexter Daps.
Yo! I'm a weird music listener. It's like James Brown and them people.
Love.
So if you want to reach the higher scale, then you have to start present yourself like that. And I know, consistency go open door.
That's right.
So if me not do this over and over again, then them not gonna get what me I do. So now I'm like, don't cost me a lot, you know.
Hey.
What's up, racing fans? Tune into CVM to see all of the live action from rallies.
One race left to go today.
Thanks for staying with us. We welcome you back with regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. Addressing the country's persistent foreign exchange concerns will be the top priority for newly appointed Central Bank Governor Larry Hawaii. Speaking to TTT News on his first day in office, Mr. Hawaii acknowledged the urgency of the Forex issue.
Mr. Hawaii previously served as Minister of Finance and the Economy and was the Chief Executive Officer for Citizens Group. He also held leadership roles in the energy sector, including Chairman of the National Gas Company and the National Energy Corporation. On day one in office, he said the foreign exchange issue is at the top of his list of priorities and added that there needs to be a greater degree of transparency so that the public understands the extent to which Forex is distributed equitably.
I don't have a solution at this time. I will have to do a level of consultation with people in the business community as well as individuals. But and I need to understand exactly how the central bank is handling the distribution at this point, because when I used to be in banking, I think there have been changes to how that system operated 12 years ago, 13 years ago, as compared to how it operates now.
In Guyana, to ensure citizens with mental health issues who come into conflict with the law are treated with dignity, fairness and empathy, the country's first mental health court was launched. Newsroom Guyana provides the comments of Attorney General Anil Nandlao.
This court establishes a fact that we have matured significantly as a society. In common parlance, those persons have been referred to as mad, crazy, or insane, and their mental condition grossly misunderstood. Today, our society has made great strides in recognizing that every person in Guyana must have their human rights protected and respected, and in this case, the right to health. There is still much to be done, as upholding human rights in mental health care is of utmost importance if our society is to develop in the direction we hope.
And in international news, the foreign ministers of Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have signed a peace agreement at the U.S. State Department. The U.S. and Qatar devoted several months to brokering the deal. More from Al Jazeera.
After 30 years of bloodshed, a flourish of pens, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda agreed to wage peace. And the United States, keen to take some credit for this moment.
We'll say you better do what's in that agreement, right? Because if somebody fails to do that, bad things happen. But I have a feeling that after 30 years, I think after 30 years, you're all set. We are. I think both of you have said that's enough, right? That's enough.
The peace treaty has as much to do with appealing to U.S. President Donald Trump's interest as it does with ending the suffering of the Congolese and Rwandan peoples. Eastern DRC is mineral rich. Gold, coltan, cobalt, and other elements key to the global production of electronic goods. Smartphones, solar panels, electric cars, data farms for AI. Trump agreed to broker peace talks when DRC President Felix Tshisekedi offered to make it easier for U.S. companies to invest in the sector. Already, a Trump supporter reportedly is in talks to gain access to the Rubaya coltan mine, currently being controlled by M23 fighters. And analysts say the deal could also weaken the influence of Chinese firms already in eastern DRC.
With this peace agreement, we open a new chapter, one that calls not only for commitment, but for the courage to see it through. By signing this agreement, we reaffirm a simple truth. Peace is a choice, but also responsibility.
And that's it for regional and international news.
Not every youngster is prepared to talk openly about mistakes. So when males especially do so about their challenges with mental health, Inspire Jamaica encourages them. We pick up with more on little boys' emotional pain becomes big men with mental issues.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.
At one point, were you told that there may be a mental break?
That's when it kicked in. My sister kicked in and told me that I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I was like, I want to know what was this, but I didn't look it up on Google. They was always telling me that I had to take my medications and stuff. So I said, okay, this stuff is going to make me get better and keep me free from marijuana. But it didn't, because I still went out and got that stuff. Because it was in me so much, it gave me that urge to do it over and over and over and over again. But they were helping me with the pills and stuff. I even was homesick during the time that I was troubled with schizophrenia. It was sweating me out, detoxing me, and they was telling me to leave the drugs alone, but I only said, yes, I'm going to do it.
When you checked out what schizophrenia means, did you accept it, or?
Sure, because it really had me thinking if, some of the times if I was being bullied, I would react very angrily and do bad stuff to people.
Years. What's the worst thing you've ever done, Natalie?
Wow. The worst thing I've ever done.
In your state of unconsciousness.
Okay. The worst thing I've seen myself do is actually almost I don't know if it was going to burst his head, but I bought this duck egg. A huge egg, and my brother took it and fried out of all the other eggs. And I took up a stone. Then he got into a real big man fight. He hit me with the board and I draw a cutlass and telling me, oh, I'm going to take off your head. And he said he was going to the station. I told him, go ahead. I ran him down the street and somebody told me, no. And I really looked into that. Until now, I still not forgive myself. But I thank that lady that said no to me, because I would be in prison right now just for a duck egg.
And that wasn't you?
No, that wasn't you. That wasn't.
Talk to someone.
First of all, I like to tell those people out there that maybe you don't actually think you have a mental health problem in your lives, but we do at times, because getting angry at people and not taking your mental meds could cause you to do certain wrong things in life. But just stay on the right path, take your meds, and just be of good courage. You could also pray. If you don't feel like to pray, just let somebody pray for you. Find a church to go to. I was there. Been there, done that.
Interestingly, after his multiple chances, he